The WBC again clarifies that Dillian Whyte is now the WBC mandatory, but his campaign of saying he was the mandatory previously is incorrect. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang. Notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, you know, all that good stuff. If you'd like to sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link, definitely do that. Now, I gotta talk about this. Look at Dillian Whyte. This is his verified page. He posts one picture of Wilder dancing, you know, a video, a random meme, another video say, I can't believe the WBC has allowed this coward to avoid me, you know. So he's posting this like on a daily basis. Look, he's in this video, he's talking about Wilder. So, you know, he's relentless, like nonstop talking about Andy Ruiz, Wilder's the coward. Look, you know. So there's some videos and interviews that are circulating, and people asked WBC president Mauricio Suleiman, what's the deal? Like, you know, Dillian Whyte's angry, and he keeps saying he was the mandatory. He's been waiting, you know, 800, 900 days and all this. And there was a follow-up interview done by the Boxing Voice, and I'll link it to the description. And they spoke with Mauricio Suleiman directly, saying, hey, we seen there's interviews where you said this, and then, you know, asked some follow-up questions. And he says there's a lot of information. He says Dillian Whyte is now the mandatory to the winner of this fight, but we have informed him this won't be ordered until February of 2021, which is what I've been telling you on my channel, New Media. So this whole year, Dillian Whyte has to sit tight and keep winning, you know, not fail any more drug tests or not lose, you know, or lose his position for any reason. And then he'll be called for the mandatory next year, February of next year, right? Dillian Whyte is on this campaign saying, hey, oh my gosh, I can't believe the WBC is hiding him, you know, all these things, talking about Wilder's wife and stuff like that. And in this interview, Mauricio Suleiman says that's incorrect. He was never actually the mandatory or an eliminator until the Oscar Rivas fight, which was just last year. He says he was under the impression, and he ran with it. Him and his team ran with it. That's why he said 500, 600 days, 700, 800 days. He said his team ran with the notion because he was ranked number one. You were the number one contender. He assumed that meant you're the number one mandatory. And this has happened before. I remember at one point, Danny Garcia and Sean Porter, I think, were both number one. Amir Khan and Danny Garcia were both rated number one, you know, mandatories for Keith Thurman or whoever had the belt at the time, you know. And it's just good that the WBC is coming out. They said we have a paper trail to corroborate everything we're saying and show that we notified the parties every time we had a convention, every time we had a meeting, this information was disclosed. He also said they ordered the Luis Ortiz fight, which I told you, and Dillian Whyte never fought Luis Ortiz. So it's this whole using the rest of this year for Dillian Whyte. This is what Wilder was saying. He's trying to get sympathy. He knows when he'll be called for the mandatory, but yet and still Dillian Whyte, you know, that's why Wilder keeps saying where your B sample stuff. He keeps posting it like this is literally, look, cowards UAAD. I guess he meant to put squad. This is literally 2 days ago. You know, this is literally 2 days ago. I can't believe the WBC has allowed this coward to avoid me for so long. But he was never called for the mandatory. He was never the actual mandatory. And this is confirmed with several interviews. One, link in the description. And just to further prove this new media stuff, Sky Sports, Dominic Breazeale was the true mandatory who Wilder fought, knocked out in 1 round last year because that mandatory got called. Sky Sports and Dillian Whyte's supposed to fight Alexander Povetkin on Sky Sports box office, Sky Sports pay-per-view. So this is the company he works with directly, for distribution with Rematch Room in the UK. They, on their website, have this article, and I have it saved to my computer. Dominic Breazeale would welcome a fight against Dillian Whyte. This is from 2018, and we're in 2020, so 2 years ago almost, right? It's from August 25th, 2018. In it, Dominic Breazeale, as I've talked to you guys several times, has said he's the number 1 mandatory, but Dillian Whyte was running around saying he was the number 1 mandatory. So he says, I offered to fight him and we could settle it. It's all in this article. Dominic Breazeale has welcomed a fight with Dillian Whyte as he believes it would be, quote, right for him to battle the British heavyweight in the WBC rankings. The Californian, Dillian Whyte is not from California. However, Dominic Breazeale is. So this is who they're talking about. The Californian was installed as the mandatory challenger for Deontay Wilder's WBC title. So once again, Dillian Whyte is on Sky Sports and they're writing articles that spell out specifically what it was. The Californian, the guy from California, Dominic Breazeale, was installed as the mandatory challenger for Deontay Wilder's WBC title after his win over Eric Molina. So they're talking about Breazeale because Dillian Whyte never fought Eric Molina. So if Californian didn't give you a clue as to what they were talking about, then you'll know that they're referring to him because Dillian Whyte never fought Eric Molina. Only Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Philip Ergovich, they fought Eric Molina and Dominic Breazeale. And they have the date. The Californian installed as the mandatory challenger for Wilder's WBC title after he beat Eric Molina last November, much to the dismay of Dillian Whyte, who is the WBC's number 1 contender. So you see what Mauricio Sulaiman said in this interview and is saying on Fight Week, because he's being asked, because there's UK media asking about Dillian Whyte nonstop. It checks out because this is from 2018. This is an article on Sky Sports UK media from 2018 where the first paragraph tells you everything that Mauricio Sulaiman is saying. So just like he has a paper trail, I have a paper trail, new media, right? Breazeale could be willing to risk his guaranteed title shot if there's a public demand for a showdown with Dillian Whyte. Once again, so when Wilder keeps telling people Dillian Whyte has had opportunities, this is one of the opportunities or avenues that Dillian Whyte could have taken. He says, this is Dominic Breazeale, exclusive interview with Sky Sports. Quote, I thought Dillian Whyte fighting myself was going to happen this year. He's bound with the situation with the WBC and his silver belt, and I have the WBC mandatory. Once again, confirming what I've told you and Mauricio Sulaiman is telling you. I'm the WBC mandatory. I only thought it would be right for him and myself to get in the ring and square off, as the fans would love to see it. So hopefully that fight happens. Dominic Breazeale in 2018, right, was looking for the smoke. But instead, Eddie Hearn, Dillian Whyte, they put him in there with Derek Chisora. So that was in 2018, right? In August. That's when Dominic Breazeale called him out and said, I would love to fight him. And then I'm the mandatory. He has the silver belt. Then there's no question at all. They already told me I'm the mandatory, but now there's not 2 number 1 guys, a number 1 mandatory and a number 1 contender. We'll settle it right here. That was August of 2018. Guess who he fought again? In December, right before Christmas, he fought Derek Chisora. So he had already beaten Derek Chisora 2 years prior in 2016. So there was really no reason, that's why it's called Rematch Room, to fight Derek Chisora again instead of Luis Ortiz, who the WBC told you to fight, to become the mandatory, faster, to take Dominic Breazeale, who was the mandatory, up on his offer, and Eddie Hearn and Dillian Whyte fought Derek Chisora instead of Dominic Breazeale. So, as the WBC said, Suleiman, he wasn't even the mandatory until Oscar Rivas, which is in July of last year, and this is after Wilder already fulfilled his mandatory by knocking out Dominic Breazeale. Case closed. And this is Sky Sports. I've been telling you guys the same thing. So everything Mauricio Suleiman is saying is true and checks out. I, again, don't know. I have no idea why Dillian Whyte and Eddie Hearn keep saying we've been played and, you know, we've been led astray and waiting 1,000 days. There's no reason to count anymore. Dillian Whyte is the mandatory now because he beat Oscar Rivas. He got past the, you know, the drug test fail, even though he didn't, you know, open the B sample or whatever. And now he has to wait for Wilder Fury to finish at 2 and 3. And WBC has told him, we are not ordering you to fight the winner, whoever has that WBC strap, until February of next year. So all this taunting and stuff is just like, you know, that's why it looks like clout chasing, because you're not getting the fight this year. That's it. Checkmate.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.